I'm Michael Spalt, and I make guitars. I've been doing that professionally for about 15, a little more than 15 years now. I pretty much started like I think a lot of guitar builders started. As a teenager, you sit around, you make noise with friends on guitars. I grew up at a time when it was really cool to customize guitars. So we chopped up a lot of vintage guitars, or what would be vintage guitars today, and improved them. For a long time then, I had other jobs and other interests. I worked in the film business for a long time. Eventually, I started back fiddling with guitars as a hobby, and I found that getting up in the morning, I had my workshop in the garage, instead of heading for the desk and doing the screenwriting that I was supposed to do, I would head into the garage and build guitars. It became evident that I had more fun doing that. A lot of it has to do with the tactile, physical thing that you have a concrete result as you work, and making guitars is a great job. You use all your capacities. You have to be good with your hands. You have to be good with your ears, planning a guitar, laying it out. There's so many aspects to it, and they really involve the complete person. After film school, I went to an art school, and actually I studied in San Francisco at the San Francisco Art Institute, and that's a school where I studied film. I majored in film, but I also did photography, painting, and ceramics. Coming back to Vienna after graduating, I went to the Academy of Applied Arts and studied painting there. I'd say that part of my interest was always there, even if I was working in movies or something like that. I would always come back to that. And when I started making guitars, at first, of course, I replicated all the classics, improving them so that they would do things that I wanted them to do. Eventually, though, I found that I wanted to do more. And I started making these resin top guitars. I found a way of making that work tonally, so that the resin that I'm using is sonically pretty transparent. It adds a little bit of sparkle and high end to the sound, meaning that if you have a mahogany back, the resin will act almost like a maple top and give you that classic combination. And also it's formulated so that it will not separate from the wood because it retains a slight flexibility as it goes through temperature changes or humidity changes or so. At the beginning I thought, wow, this is so different, this is going to be great. I'm going to sell a ton of them. But that was the time when vintage guitars started to really become popular. So I was, I did a lot of guitar shows and had my guitars in a few stores, and they were kind of regarded as, oh, wow, that's pretty freaky. And they were not really taken seriously. Over the years, though, I was able to establish a reputation, and I've made about 400 of these. And they're all out there being used. So in the end, it has proved a good concept, a successful one. I used to do work also in set construction and special effects when I was living in Los Angeles. And what fascinated me about that was the mechanical stuff that we got involved with for like science fiction movies and so on. And also the use of a lot of various materials. And so I wanted to strip the guitar down to its essence and create a modular system where you can swap out parts. A lot of people actually have trouble seeing them as made by the same person because they're so different. I'd say if the Totem guitars are my painterly approach, those are my sculptural approach. I love the way you can shape the wood. There's a lot more freedom than with a traditional guitar body. And you can use a lot of wood that you could not use on a regular guitar body because of its size or shape. When I started making the hybrids, I started making the first ones as guitars, and I found that bass players are a little bit more open to new ideas, maybe. Also, I found that the low register had a wonderful clarity, a piano-like tonality, actually, almost. So I figured this might work very well as a bass. Probably for 5, 6 years, I only made basses as a hybrid model. And it was only after the basses got a certain amount of recognition and acceptance that a guitar player approached me and said, could I have a guitar like that? And so it came full circle at that point. The main feature with the bass is a very clear tone with very good sustain. What most people find surprising is that they have a very warm tone. Aluminum is a great tonal material. It's actually not metal sounding as we would assume, but it has a very warm musical tonality to it. Combined with a wood neck, that's how I can shape the sound, if you want to say. The neck basically gives you the color of the tone. I decided to go with a wood neck also because the feel and playability of the instrument with a wood neck is much better. When I moved back to Vienna from LA, I found a workshop. The front gate to the property had this wonderful patina. And the owner of the property basically said, well, you know, it's an old gate. The wood is all kind of ugly and rotted, and the neighbors are complaining and all that. So I said, you know what? I'll take the old gate down and I'll put a new gate up, and I'll keep the wood because I really like the texture and the color. So I did that, and now I have a stash of this wood. It's fairly light wood with good acoustic characteristics. And I decided I'd do a series of guitars with that wood as a top. So I've been doing that in various configurations. My favorite one is actually the Vienna line, which is a hollow body with an inset top of the gate wood. There's about enough wood there for maybe 50 guitars total. I'm about halfway through now. Let's put it this way, in terms of what is available today and what is being built today, especially by independent luthiers, it's a real golden age. There has never been such an explosion of creativity and inventiveness. And the quality has grown exponentially over the past decade. I think guitars now are probably better than they have ever been before. I've had some holy grail guitars, the late 50s Les Pauls and the early 60s Strats and so. Some of them are great, and some of them are real dogs. It has been proven over and over in blind tests. People prefer the sound of a new guitar over most of these sacred vintage guitars when they don't know which is which and they just hear it. What I'm looking for is good harmonics, musicality, a certain clarity, sparkle, and and also good sustain with good note separation and transparency, really, in a way. Each guitar is unique, and I use a lot of different wood combinations, so you get a great dynamic range out of them. You can play them very gently, or you can really rock out with them, and they'll work and deliver.